Hi, you guys. It's Yaz. And I was asked to do a podcast on narcissistic parents. And this woman made a comment, and it's so true. She said, no matter what kind of relationship I had, narcissistic, there's no pain like the pain she suffered from her narcissistic mother and her narcissistic sibling. And that is so true, you guys. I mean, if you've ever experienced it, you'll see that when you have a narcissistic parent, it leaves a mark on you, okay? You're always going to feel a certain amount of emptiness inside you. Even if you move, a lot of people, they go no contact from a narcissistic parent and they move to another state or another part of the world, and they feel like they could just erase all, the past and everything. They may feel a little better, but there's always going to be a little bit of emptiness, a little bit of hurt if you've had a narcissistic parent. Now, here's the thing. A lot of times you don't even realize that your parent is narcissistic till later on in life. A lot of people don't realize this. This happens a lot to the scapegoat. This is the truth teller in the family. This is the person that sees that the family is dysfunctional or, they try to put on a false image to outsiders that there's something they're not. And the truth teller or the scapegoat is the one that calls them out on it. And so the scapegoat is going to be the target of the narcissistic parent. And here's the thing. You know that you're dealing with a narcissistic parent because a narcissistic parent will leave you unheard, okay? They don't care what you have to say. They're not interested. What they're interested in is having their ego fed and being told that they're right all the time. If you tell a narcissistic parent something that they don't want to hear, right away, you're going to be attacked, okay? Or you may get the silent treatment. This is how a narcissistic parent is going to try to control you or punish you, all right? There's two ways they could do it. They could outright just put you down, criticize, judge you, and put you down. You're never enough for a narcissistic parent. It's always when something goes wrong, it's your fault because you didn't listen to them, okay? Or you didn't do it their way. So that's why things go wrong. It's your fault. A narcissistic parent is the one who wants to have complete control over the family, okay? And what they do is they don't unite families, they divide families. They pick favorites. They pit sibling against sibling. And the sibling that, feeds that narcissist ego or kisses their ass is the golden child. That's the one that the narcissist is going to gang up with and gang up against the other child, which is usually the scapegoat because they're telling the narcissist something that they don't want to hear, okay? Or they're calling them out for something. And that will cause division between the scapegoat and their siblings as well. And what a narcissistic parent will do is they will, team up against the scapegoat and they will be very, very, they'll gossip about them. They'll put them down. A lot of times the other sibling, who's the golden child sibling, they're a covert narcissist and they will also smear you behind your back because they are trying to play up to the main narcissist. So a lot of people don't realize this when they're growing up or something like that. They may say, I have an unreasonable parent or something to that manner. But the thing that you have to understand is a narcissistic parent is not in your corner, okay? A narcissistic parent, when things go wrong, they're going to blame you. A narcissistic parent, you can't sit down and talk to, all right? You think that you could sit there and you could reason with a narcissistic parent, but like I said, if you say something to them that they don't want to hear, they're gonna call you crazy. They're gonna say something's wrong with you. They're gonna say you have mental issues. They're gonna say you need to talk to a therapist. They're gonna say you need to take medication. They are going to discredit you so that, they don't have to face shame or own up to anything. And if you grow up in a type of household, an old school type of household, this happens a lot if you grow up in an old school type of household. In other words, that's the type of household where, the parents feel that they have complete ownership over your life, complete control over your life. They're the boss, okay? It's a dictatorship. They're the boss. You're living in my house. It's my rules. And they don't respect boundaries, okay? Especially if you're living at home. They will not respect that at all because they feel, they're paying the bills or whatever. Now, when you have a narcissistic parent, the child of a narcissistic parent is going to go one of two ways. They're either going to become a narcissist themselves, and this is where we talk about the cycle of narcissism, how it goes from generation to generation to generation. A lot of children, they see the toxicity in their parents and they think that's okay. They think it's okay to treat people like crap because they figure, this is how my parent used to talk to somebody. I could do it, Or my parent always did the silent treatment. This is how I'm going to treat my kids. When they do something I don't like, I'm just going to freeze them out till they practically beg me and say they're sorry or something like that. That's one way a child of a narcissistic parent will go. They'll become narcissistic. And also they become narcissistic because they never felt like they had control because they had a narcissistic parent. They grew up in a toxic home. They dealt with trauma, okay? That narcissistic parent never validated them. So as they get older, they constantly need to be validated by outsiders. Then you have the scenario of a child who's the entitled child of a narcissistic parent, okay? And they're the golden child and everything like that. And they could feel they could do whatever they want because they never had boundaries, all right? And then you have the other scenario of the child that says, you know what? This is really fucked up. They are fucked up, and I don't want to be like my family. This is usually the scapegoat or the truth teller because they're the ones that see that the narcissist is not fair, okay? A narcissist is not a fair person. They will not sit down at a table and listen to what you have to say and acknowledge it or validate it. They won't, okay? A lot of times they'll cut you off in the middle of a sentence and say, I don't want to hear this, or I don't care how you feel, all right? This is the way it's going to be, all right? And they feel because they're a parent, they have the right to treat you that way. They have the right to talk down to you. I brought you into this world and I'll take you out, okay? And they don't understand that, they need to nurture their children, okay? It's like a plant. You have to water a plant if you want it to grow. Instead, they suppress these type of children. All right, so like the scapegoat or the truth teller, they finally say, you know what, I had enough. I'm not dealing with this. I'm out of here, okay? And I'm not dealing with you, and I'm going to do no contact with you. And, because every time I try to talk to you, you're not listening to me, or you're telling me I'm wrong, or, you're in competition with me. And that's another thing, too. Narcissistic parents are in competition with their children, okay, for how they look, for praise or something like that. So you'll see a lot of times when you go to a narcissistic parent and you tell them something really great is happening in your life, they're going to try to bring up, well, so-and-so, this happened to me. Right away, it's who can top that, all right? Instead, or what they'll do is when you bring it up to them, they'll say, oh, that's great. And then they'll change the subject because they have no interest whatsoever because, again, it's all about them, okay? A narcissistic parent also that you got to keep in mind, it can go two ways in the sense that they will guilt trip their kids. A lot of narcissistic parents do that. They'll guilt trip their kids so that their kids are always, they know that they got to, beat to a certain drum. They got to show up. They got to call all the time. They got to do things for their parents. And if you marry somebody who has a narcissistic parent, narcissistic mother, and that's going to be your mother-in-law or father-in-law, and, you marry somebody who has somebody like that, that narcissistic parent is going to control your partner. Your partner is not going to be in a relationship with you It's going to be a triangulation because that partner is always going to try to satisfy their parents. Oh, can my parents come over? Oh, we have to go, for the holidays to my parents' house. They're always trying to make that parent happy. So, listen to me, you guys. This is gold. When you get involved with somebody, make sure you take a good look at their parents, all right? Or their family. Because if they have a narcissistic parent, they're not going to be focused 100% on you or make you the priority. That narcissistic parent is going to have an influence on their life and is going to try to control and manipulate your partner. And that's going to affect your relationship with your partner. Because if you say one bad thing about their narcissistic parent and they don't realize that their parent is narcissistic, you have hell to pay, okay? Because they will flip out on you because that's their parent. That's their blood. And a narcissistic parent tries to have control over their children, okay? So that's what they do. Narcissistic parents guilt trip their children, or they'll play the sick routine. Oh, I wasn't feeling good. Oh, I have another doctor's appointment. Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I need help with my bills. This is how they guilt trip. Oh, I haven't heard from you in so long, okay? This is how a narcissistic parent could guilt trip and cause problems. The other thing is if they don't guilt trip, then you have the narcissistic parent that abandons their kids, that has strict rules that if you don't follow their rules, they abandon you. Or if you don't praise their ego, they abandon you. So understand that, people ask me all the time, do narcissistic parents, do they love their kids? They may love their kids, but they love themselves more, and they'll let their kids go before they ever, give in to their pride. Their pride comes first, all right? So in other words, if you have an argument with a narcissistic parent, and you don't bow down and apologize, or you don't come looking for them, they will leave you for dead. A lot of them will leave you for dead, even though you're their child, because their pride comes first. They can't put their pride aside and say, you know what, I want to have a relationship with my kids, Their pride comes first, all right? And you'll see also narcissistic parents, they abandon their children and leave that responsibility on the other parent of the child to raise those kids. This is why I tell people all the time, I say, be careful of who you have children with, all right? And I had some troll get on there who actually is a narc awareness influencer who says, oh, that's bad advice. She didn't know what the fuck she's talking about because obviously she didn't live it like I've lived it. And I'm telling you that you have to be careful of who you have children with, because if you have children with a narcissist, they won't pitch in. They won't help. They'll be spiteful. They'll take things out on you. They'll take things out rather on the children to get back at you. So, and they're not somebody that wants to sacrifice. They don't want to take a sick kid to the doctor. They don't want to deal with school meetings. They don't want to have to deal with taking kids to a park or a playground on a weekend when they could be out having a good time. They're going to leave the responsibility to the other parent, all right? And a lot of them will abandon their children, or they'll play games and everything, or they won't let the other parent see the children. So it's hell to pay, all right? A narcissistic parent, the bottom line is, they come first. They're very selfish. And even though they're your parent, they could be a liar. They're going to lie. They're going to tell you, like if they're in a divorce situation, they're going to tell you that the reason they're divorced is because the other parent, they caused that. Oh, I tried to work it out. They're going to play the victim. They always want to be, they want people to sympathize with them, and they're going to play the victim. So here's the thing, you guys. When you deal with a narcissistic parent, understand this. You will never, ever be able to reason with them. You have to accept them for who they are, okay? Because they are not going to change. They've been molded this way from their childhood development to who they are today, and you are not going to change them. Because let me tell you something. A narcissistic parent, does not respect you, all right? They don't respect you because they have to be superior to you. So they won't validate you because they want to be superior. They can't deal with shame. Always remember this. They can't deal with shame. So even though you're speaking the truth, even though you're bringing up facts to them, they're either not going to want to hear it, or they're going to walk out on you, or they're going to tell you you're crazy and you need some mental help. Your thinking is all wrong. Your judgment is all wrong. They're going to tell you you're all about drama when they are the ones about drama. They're going to tell you that, oh, why are you so sensitive? There's a double standard with a narcissistic parent. They can say and do what they want and talk about you behind your back to your other siblings, but you better not, do the same thing to them, because then you're the one who's all screwed up. See, they only want to see what they want to see. They have tunnel vision. So it is impossible to try to talk to a narcissistic parent and get them to see your point of view. The only time that you may break a little leeway is if you get them in a very good mood. They're very happy, something's going really good in their life, and you bring something up to them very diligently. Then maybe they'll shake their head and say, yeah, or they might agree with you here or there. But if you're dealing with somebody that is really extremely narcissistic, they will never, ever own it. They will never agree with you. And this is going to make okay, let me tell you about the damage that this causes. This causes insecurity. This causes somebody feeling like they're not worth anything. And what happens is children of narcissists end up having anxiety and depression. Okay? How do I know this? I've lived this and I've seen it also with my own children. Okay? When you have a parent that's a narcissist, it's very important that you get therapy, okay? Just to have somebody to talk to so that you could realize that, you know what? It's not you. You are not the problem. The problem is you have a narcissistic parent that is, not speaking the truth, is not validating you, is not doing things right. So just because somebody's a parent doesn't mean they know what the fuck they're talking about, all right? And this is like a revelation, because a lot of times as you grow up as children, you look at your parents and you look at them as godly figures, like, oh, my parents, they're always right, or they must know, they're older, their experience, their wisdom and everything. And no, that is not the fact. Your parents don't always necessarily know what the fuck is right. Sometimes you are smarter than your own parents, okay? And that's why education is so important. That's why when you educate yourself and you gain that knowledge, you can see through the bullshit and you can see what is the truth and what isn't. And once you educate yourself enough, you're going to realize, oh my gosh, I got a narcissistic parent. They're messed up. They're not validating me. Oh, they never give me a compliment. Oh, they always criticize and judge me. Oh, they always need their ego fed. Oh, they're always siding. They're always picking favorites and everything like that, or they're gossiping behind my back. That's when you realize that, you know what? It's messed up. It's messed up, okay? Because a child should come first. The other thing, too, when you deal with a narcissistic parent is a narcissistic parent doesn't want to be burdened. They don't want to be inconvenienced with your problems. They don't want you to call them and bother them about things that are bad that are going on in your life. They don't fucking want to hear it, okay? Because it kills their joy. They don't want to deal with, the hard times. They don't want to deal with, anybody that brings a negative, connotation to them whatsoever. They only want to deal with the good times. That's why a narcissistic parent, they'll be around for the fun times. They'll be around for, the gift giving, the parties, going on vacation, going out to eat at a restaurant. But the hard times, like, can you go get that medicine for me for the kid? Or can you show up at the hospital? We're down at the hospital. That's when that narcissistic parent is not going to want to deal with it. And they're going to make excuses why they can't do it. Okay. Or they're going to just ghost you and disappear. All right. So they are horrible, you guys. And it's really sad because so many people, talk about exes, narcissistic partners and everything. And, I'm not downplaying that. It's terrible when you've been married to a narcissist and you've had so many years together with them, you feel a piece of your life is gone. But a lot of these people, they may have family that, shows them love and gives them support. But when you have a narcissistic parent or something like that, you are going to feel alone. Okay? You're going to feel like really abandoned. You're going to feel like really down on yourself. And like I said, it takes a really self-aware person to realize the toxicity of a narcissistic parent and say, you know what? I realize that my parents are narcissistic. I realize that they're toxic. And the next thing I got to realize is that anything that comes out of their mouth doesn't mean shit, because they're only saying it so that they could praise their ego, because they're insecure and they need to control, and they're trying to control me. And if I don't stand at the beat of the drum, then, there's only one, they won't deal with me. So you know what? If you're dealing with a narcissistic parent and they are unbending, they are unwavering, and they just are impossible to try to talk to, then you have to distance yourself, family or no family, okay? You've got to think about your mental health. What's in your best interest of your mental health? Because these people will put you in a depression. You know how many kids end up, all right, end up on drugs and alcohol and end up in a bad way because they had a narcissistic parent that always was critical of them, or wasn't there for them, or was outright cruel to them. They end up turning to alcohol and drugs to try to make themselves feel better, to try to mask it. The other thing is, how many children end up committing suicide because of a narcissistic parent, because they have low self-worth, all right? Because a lot of these parents, these narcissistic parents, they want their kids to achieve. Oh, you better go to an Ivy League school. Oh, you better get a 6-figure job. Oh, you better be a doctor, a lawyer. And they put pressure on their kids. And I saw this in school. I went to a very competitive high school, and a lot of the kids there, their parents were, oh my God, I went to such a narcissistic high school, you guys, all right? Very preppy, very snobby, and the pressure that they put on these kids. And that's why we had suicides in the school, all right, of these kids, because they couldn't meet up to their parents' narcissistic expectations. And, their only escape was suicide. So understand this. If you ever feel anything like that, you need to get help. Call the suicide hotline, and I will leave it in the podcast notes, because there's always a light, all right? Your parents don't always necessarily know everything, all right? So you want to, you want to educate yourself on this and realize the impact that a narcissistic parent will have on their children. They damaged their children. They damage their children because the child grows up and feels that they're nothing. A lot of them do, unless, like I said, you're self-aware, you've educated yourself, and you realize that, you know what, it's not me. It's that I got a fucked up narcissistic parent that that is trying to put me down or something like that. But somebody who doesn't know is going to grow up and they're going to feel like, that's why they attract other narcissists. When you've had a narcissistic parent, a lot of times you're looking for safety. You never felt safe with that narcissistic parent. They never give you a sense of safety and security. That's why a lot of these kids, they run away from their homes because they felt unsafe. They were in a toxic home, a volatile home. They had to get out of that home, and a lot of them become runaways or something like that. And they never felt safe. So what happens when you grow up with a narcissistic parent? You're looking for a partner that's going to make you feel safe. And what does that do? That makes you pray for another narcissist. And why is that? Because another narcissist is going to lay on the love bombing and the affection and that false phony mask. They're going to portray the exact opposite of what they are. And because you are in such a vulnerable state, because you have low self-worth, because you had a narcissistic parent that always criticized, judged you, and put you down, You are going to take that bait from that narcissist that comes into your life, and you're going to believe it, all right? And you're going to become codependent on that narcissistic partner that, that comes and gives you all that phony baloney with the love bombing and everything, because you want the feeling of security and safety. And this person is coming into your life and you're feeling like they are that safety net, okay? So like I said, when you are a child of a narcissistic parent, you're always going to feel like unsafe, okay? You're going to feel, because you don't, your family or your narcissist, your parents are supposed to be your safety net, okay, in life. They're the person that you call when you're sad, when you're down, when you need help. You may have a crappy partner, a crappy husband, crappy wife, but you want to know that, I could call my family, I could call my mom, I could call my dad, and, they'll listen to me, they'll hear me, they're like my therapist, they'll make me feel good, they'll support me or something like that. But when you have a narcissistic parent, you're going to have a void of that. You're not going to have somebody to run to when you need them, because a narcissistic parent won't be there for you. They're very selfish. They're into their own lives and they don't care. And a lot of them take the attitude like, well, you're grown, you're on your own, leave me alone. I'm living my life or something like that. I did what I had to do. You're going to have to figure it out yourself. All right. A lot of them have that attitude. So understand this, a parent is a very important role in a child's life. It really makes or breaks somebody. And it takes a very, very strong individual who comes from a toxic home to understand when they come from a toxic home and realize and educate themselves and realize that, this is not my support system here. I've got to find other support systems, other support groups, narcissistic abuse support groups, other groups locally, community, online, other people that go through that. There's other groups online, you guys, like for, people that have narcissistic parents that go there and they provide support for each other. And if you're in that position, check it out, okay? But understand this, all right? Some things are out of your control. You can't control who your parents were, but you can control whether you want to be around them. So it depends on how narcissistic they are. If they have some good qualities, but they're narcissistic, all right, like they're hard to deal with, but, they are still your parent and you feel like you can kind of, get by, then you gray rock. Don't go to them about any of your personal business or anything like that, because they'll use it against you. When something goes wrong, they'll tell you, oh, it's your fault, you did it wrong or something. So when you have a relationship with a narcissistic parent, and let's say you don't want to cut ties, you have to basically gray rock them and just, very on the surface kind of relationship and not be too close to them. Because the closer you try to get to a narcissistic parent, the more you're going to have more blow-ups. It's inevitable, okay? Because a narcissistic parent, they could be okay, but then they're not going to be okay. And then they're going to blame somebody, and guess what? You're going to be the fucking target if you say or do anything that they don't like, or you ever, try to, challenge them on any topic or something. You're going to be their punching bag. So that's why I tell you, stay away from that and just, keep the conversation very on the surface. How's your day? Good. How's your day? Good. Okay, I'll see you at the holiday. And that's it, Either that, or if there's that unreasonable, you just cut the ties cold. That's it. And you got to say to yourself, I have to do this, because if I don't do this, it's gonna trigger me. It's gonna cause me to have arguments. I'm going to get myself all run into the ground. It's going to affect my physical health. It's going to cause my stress to go up. And it's really bad, you guys. It's going to put you in a black hole. When you have a narcissistic parent, they put you in a black hole because all they do is tell you how terrible a person you are. All they do is criticize how you dress, what you said, what you're doing in life, any decisions you made. Oh, you make bad decisions. Oh, you don't know what you're doing. You're in the position that you're in because you put yourself in the position. They victim shame you. They victim shame you if something doesn't go right in your life. It's your fault because you made the wrong decisions. You always make bad decisions. Oh, you're too sensitive and you take everything to heart. And the other thing that a narcissistic parent will say, and they love triangulation, is they'll bring up other people, whether it's family or so, and they will say, even Aunt so-and-so says you're very sensitive. Even your sister or your brother says you're very sensitive, or that, you really need to talk to somebody. This is how they validate themselves that they're right. They triangulate and bring other people into it to try to make you look like you're a nut, okay? Don't buy into it. The minute that anybody tries to discredit you or discredit your mental state is the minute that you say to them, you know what? If you continue to talk to me like that, you and I will not be talking. There's nothing wrong with my mental state. What's wrong is the fact that you don't want to hear the truth and you don't like being called out on when you're wrong. Then you see them flip out and then you just disengage and don't bother, okay? But don't allow them to try to put you down to a point where they try to say, oh, there's something mentally wrong with you, because they love the mental card, all right? They love the mental card. The mental card is their way to discredit you, that you don't know what you're talking and that there is something wrong with you, because they can't handle the fact that you're speaking the truth and calling them out on their bullshit, all right? So I hope you guys understand, when you deal with a narcissistic parent, you have to accept what is, okay? Accept who they are. They are not going to change. Don't try to change them. You are not going to change. This is who they are, and this is what they will be the rest of their lives. And you have to decide whether you want them in your life or whether you really don't and you can't deal with it, all right? Because it's causing you more pain than anything else. You've got to look at your own health, your own mental health in dealing with these people, and your physical health, because your mental health is going to affect your physical health. If you're always stressed out, it's going to affect other things in your health, causes cancer and digestive problems and other illnesses and ailments. So you have to separate yourself from that if it's causing you that much pain and that much triggering, because you're dealing with a really toxic narcissistic parent. And the other thing is, when you look at that narcissistic parent, look into their childhood. I tell people to do this all the time, and it's so true. If you look into their childhood and you look at their parents and the relationship they had with their parents, it's going to tell you exactly who your parent is, all right? In other words, if their parents were the silent, deadly kind that always gave their child the cold treatment, guess what? Your narcissistic parent is giving you the fucking cold treatment because they think that's the way to do things instead of communicating, all right? Because they're closed-minded and they don't understand that you should sit down and talk about things. But they don't want to do that. They just want to be a dictator and say, I'm the mother, I'm the father. This is the way it goes, okay? Understand that. They learn that from their parents, all right? Or if they had parents that were very, violent or something, then the next thing is they learn that as well. And I tell people too, when you're dealing with a malignant narcissist who could be very violent, look at the background they grew up in. I guarantee there was a violent parent there, all right, in that malignant narcissist's life. And this is where they acquired that from, thinking that they could just bully people, all right, because they're bullies. And that's the same thing. A narcissistic parent is a bully. They're going to bully their children they are there to make their children look good, all right? That's why they post all these pictures on Facebook and social media. Oh, this is my beautiful family. Oh, this and that. And meanwhile, they're not even talking to them, okay? Or they just had a fight with them and put the other person down. They put on a false image to everybody else. They want everybody to think they got the perfect family, all right? It's all fake, all right? So understand that a narcissistic parent, the pain that you get from that is like no other relationship you've had or anything like that. That is one of the hardest and cruelest pains anybody could feel, is to have a narcissistic parent. And I wish more influencers would talk about that instead of just relationships, because the narcissistic parent will scar you for life, all right? So I hope that helps you guys. If it does, please hit the subscribe button and please share the podcast. Have a great day. If you guys are having a problem in your dating or relationship, or you're dealing with somebody maybe that's narcissistic, you don't know if they're a narcissist, or you're just having problems, you're in a toxic relationship and you need some clarity on it, go to the link in the podcast description for my website where I offer email and phone coaching. If you have a quick question, just a quick question, and you want to get a video sent back to you answering your question, there's also a link there for Vizio where I will send you a personalized video answering your question. Hi, you guys, it's Yaz, and I want to tell you about my 2 books on Amazon. The first book is Regain Your Power. It's all about power and relationship. Who has the power in the relationship? And it goes into all of that, okay? The other book is Signs He's Not Into You, He's Wasting Your Time, okay? Check it out. It gives you a lot of good clues as to whether you're with somebody who's a real one or somebody who's just going to waste your time. You could read them both with Kindle's free trial membership. So check it out. Link is in the podcast description. Hi, you guys. I just want to let you know that the Game Exposed now has their merchandise available. Check out the link in the bio, and you could go check it out. There's cool hoodies, cool sweatpants, cool hats. So go to the bio for the link. And also, don't forget to follow me on Facebook at The Game EXP 123, and also on Instagram, The Game EXP 123. Okay? And have a great day.